Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this daily astrology report for January 5th, 2021. So we're going to talk about the moon is now in Libra, and we're going to talk about this kite energy today. Wow. A very strong air trine with a Libra moon, Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, and black moon Lilith in Gemini. This trine right here in and of itself is something, but then to add the kite, which is bringing the challenge and the tension to get the most out of this trine, being where with Chiron and Aries, and specifically this very one-sided, strong urge to assert ourselves, especially when it comes to this victim and empowered victim narrative that Chiron represents. I'm going to talk about that and the connection to Uranus today. The moon is going to quincunx Uranus, and so there'll be some adjustments made today. And we're getting pretty close to the 6th at that third quarter square. Also, I want to point out that Mars is at the last degree of Aries. I want to talk about that a little bit. And Venus is crossing the galactic center. And so we're going to get a really beautiful infusion and really pull in with Venus, right? She attracts what she desires. She pulls in what it is that appeases her senses. And we're gonna have a really beautiful opportunity as Venus passes in front of the galactic center to really pull in those beautiful galactic light from the center of the galaxy in through what we value and the relationships and the very material world around us that we find beautiful and that we want to harmonize with. With Mars at the last degree, this is the realization of natural boundaries. Okay. Every form of activity has its limits, and even the consciousness that's been able to see a universal order, right? This is all the field of potential when it comes to Aries. Still has to be brought down into the karmic field of operation. And essentially we have to return back to earth in order to implement all of that potential and desire that Aries represents. And so there are boundaries imposed by the very nature of our activity, and the consciousness has to accept that. That is what the last degree of Aries represents. And so tomorrow on the 6th, this is when Mars will, through the course of the day, will move into Taurus, and then that boundary will be very substantiated. And so today on the 5th, we have this moment where we become aware and cognizant of these natural limitations, and that the next step is inevitably to substantiate all of our potential and desire, and to realize natural boundaries. Taurus is about the natural world. And so we get this infusion today with Mars at the end of Aries and Venus crossing the galactic center in late Sagittarius. A lot of fire, a lot of action and will to transform coming through the divine masculine and divine feminine aspects of us. Mars is the warrior and the action hero, realizing that there are natural boundaries. Venus, the goddess of love, pulling everything beautiful towards her, crossing the galactic center, essentially magnetizing, pulling towards us all of this galactic light, this really high frequency light from the center of the galaxy. So these two are actually going to come together very soon, but it's going to be in Earth signs. So that will be substantial creation in physical reality. But in the meantime, they are still very much charged up with all of this potential and fire and transformative energy. So I want to recap on the 4th just a little bit to do a little bit of retrospective, because we had Mercury and Pluto meeting together today in Capricorn. And the moon also was in Virgo, was in a trine to Pluto and Mercury in Capricorn. We had this trine in Earth energy, and with the moon in Virgo, we're really kind of getting down to the actual nuts and bolts of us as individuals, what we need to do, getting under the surface, doing the work, being organized and meticulous, and really training ourselves. This is where a character really develops, is in Virgo in the 6th house. And so this trine to Mercury and Pluto coming together, there is a sense, I talked about it on the report for the 4th, the sense that there is, a public recognition for your service, right? And your commitment to your community. And it's acknowledged when you pass away with the flag at half mast. And the last time we had this significantly was the new moon in September, and that's when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. And so having a trine to Pluto, the Lord of Death, and also with Mercury as well, which is the realm of the mind, communication, information being presented to us, it really felt like there was going to be a connection here with that part of ourselves. Maybe it hasn't even been fully realized yet. It's just something that we feel because it's the moon, feeling this sense of recognition for those who have given their very lives in service and is being recognized and enshrined in a way as a cultural hero. That's what we do when we put a flag at half mast. We're recognizing that service of an individual to their community when they finally pass on. So in a trine to Mercury and Pluto coming together in Capricorn, Mercury being the realm of the mind, communication, media, right? And data, information. Well, today, Julian Assange, not only did the UK deny his extradition to the US to stand trial for his crimes, quote unquote crimes, Julian Assange is the founder of WikiLeaks. He also got bail. So he's been granted bail, which means he's also going to be released. Now, whether or not he's able to come back to the US, I don't think so, because he still has to he still would be charged and tried here unless he is going to get a pardon from President Trump, which is a very likely scenario. There's already been chatter about it for a while. But now his extradition has been denied. That means that the UK is not going to release him to the United States for him to stand trial for his crimes. Mexico has offered him political asylum, and he's been granted bail, so he's going to be released. And this is Mercury coming and meeting Pluto. Pluto, the Lord of Death and transformation, specifically in late Capricorn, which is really about everything that we have built up together, all of the culture and institutions, and all of the aspects that lead to refinement in our culture that almost insulate us from actually have to putting our feet right on the ground, is being torn away thread by thread by Pluto. And with Mercury meeting here, this is an awareness brought to our attention. This is communicated to us. And Julian Assange, being the founder of WikiLeaks, one of the most mercurial in terms of information data dumps provided about state secrets and the what the elite are up to. Coming together like that is his role, and what WikiLeaks has provided is, shows everything that the elite and our officials have been up to, that if addressed, if actually addressed, would stand to pull down the very fabric of our system, because you're looking at most of the people who are making decisions and running the show being implicated in crimes against humanity, essentially. I mean, what WikiLeaks has to offer is essentially all of that type of information. And so these two coming together today, this, bringing to our awareness, and also his release, and a deep feeling that is very much supported and connected to this disclosure, if you want to even call it that, that WikiLeaks provides, this deep feeling and this underlying feeling, this subconscious notion of, and something that's not being actively expressed, but something that we feel, this recognition for this person's service and how much they have actually given back to not just the United States, but for the entire world. What WikiLeaks has provided is real transparency and actual honest journalism. So I thought that was interesting how that actually transpired. But let's talk about the 5th, shall we? keep this as concise as we can. So, like I said, we're going to have the moon in Libra. So we've gotten to a point now after today of the fourth, after the fourth, we come into the fifth, and there's been so much tension. There was that grand square. Like I said, there was that Mercury and Pluto coming together. And now we come into the moon in Libra, and we're like, okay, I feel now this renewal, this archetypal balance that Libra represents. It's time to bring this part of myself that I've been working on and organizing, bring it to the table to be in partnership with other. And so there is a real strong drive to want things to be balanced, to want things to be even, and sensing some renewal here, a rebirth in some ways, because now it's not just about us individually, it's about our relationship with other. And that's what Libra represents. And then you start having to think about what is fair and what is just. And so the moon immediately is in a trine to Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, right? This is the revolution, Aquarius. This is the future, which is Aquarius. This is the coherence to natural law and cosmic law with Saturn and Jupiter, right? It's being solidified with Saturn. It's being expanded upon and defended by Jupiter, right? Jupiter is the ruler and the great benefactor in some ways of our all that we value and believe in. And so right away, the moon here in this trine, there is a dawn of a new day is revealing that everything has changed, right? And it has a lot to do with Aquarius coming out of the box and being our own person and leaving behind that which does not serve the collective anymore. And there's a sense of community and communion that's also coming together. And so you can see here that this trine here, it's all in the mind, right? It's all in the way we think, how we apply our knowledge, our perception with our mind and our inner vision. It's very balanced here. And then with Black Moon Lilith, she is a position that represents something even deeper than our intuition. It's our survival. It's our instinct. It's not even something that we can necessarily control. It's just a deeper reptilian part of our brain, the limbic system, that acts out of a need to protect and to survive. And even this is in this grand air trine in early Gemini, and being able to trust this process is a big part. And it's so deep that we don't even really realize that is what's happening, that we are trusting. Some of us are trusting this process and being rewarded. That's the other thing, that being rewarded, our faith being rewarded by spiritual blessings, and not even, this is just a matter of survival to have this faith. It's not even a matter, I wouldn't say it's not a matter of choice, but it's certainly very deeply embedded that we need this faith. We need this faith that everything we need is going to be presented to us when the time is right. And so it allows us to, see this new dawn, right? To commune with kindred spirits and to feel kind of like that, it's like sitting around a campfire with other people that you share common spiritual ideas, right? You just feel in communion around the fire. The central theme here, which is a very Vesta thing as well, which is still in Virgo, by the way. And it's very new still, it's very fresh. And so there's this trine here, which is really lovely and very supportive of how we think about things and how we apply our knowledge and balance and justice and fairness as we're moving into the new age. And we don't even have to, we can just deeply connect to this sense of trust and faith that everything is going to be provided to us. Well, here's the tension now with this in the kite. It's Chiron. It's Chiron and Aries, right? For as much as we want our ideals to take concrete form and have them be effectual. The opposition with Chiron is like, well, that's great, but we still need to focus here. Or I am drawing our attention back to how, my victim status and being an empowered victim and being the wounded healer. And this is the place that I'm acting out of because I haven't actually dealt with my own wounding. And so everything I do that is attempting to like save other people or to um, just not step out of that identity because I don't know who I am. And so in Aries, you're talking about the subjective experience, about the me, myself, and I. Whereas the moon in Libra is like, I want my inner vision to take concrete form because it is more to do than just me. This is something that is bigger than me because it requires and necessitates a relationship of some sort. The good news is what you won't see here is that Juno is in Sagittarius now, the asteroid Juno, the wife of Zeus, right? This is about loyalty and commitment and marriage. While the moon is in sextile at the same time. So being able to focus on group solidarity and the group function, right? The game as an archetype and as a ritual for group solidarity and how we all work together. This is where our loyalty and commitment really needs to lie, is in this group situation, playing this game. And the moon, if we can see that, if we can play the game in terms of within our own team, right? If we can have good teamwork and see that we all succeed together and feel a sense of commitment and responsibility to that, again, this is really going to support us as we individually start to feel this inner vision, this concrete, this inner vision of all getting along and playing this game and having a cohesive group goal that we can work towards. It will certainly start to manifest itself in our mind. Chiron's going to be the big one today. It's going to pull all that energy over there to, again, it's just all about being the empowered victim. And this is going to be the piece here that kind of lights a fire, almost literally, or gives us a little shock, right? Because Aries is electricity. It gives us a shock that we can utilize this trine so much better. Because otherwise, when a grand trine like this, it's really easy to be complacent and not really do anything about it because there's nothing there motivating you. So keep an eye out today for this theme to come back around and really pull you in and see that this is a way to utilize this very easily. Well, I wouldn't say easily at all. Actually, I think it's going to be really challenging, but getting the most out of this air trine. Also, the moon is going to quincunx Uranus. And this is when we tend to start facing at the antagonism, right? It's going to make us, we're going to start feeling that antagonism from the darkness. And we want to protect that which is vulnerable from predatory, bad actors in our environment and around us, and even within us emotionally, because again, we're talking about the moon. The adjustment that will be made is Uranus again is just like, okay, we're focusing on letting go of the past, what's obsolete. And when you're in survival mode and you're focusing on protecting yourself and facing the antagonism of dark powers, it's really hard to necessarily keep yourself grounded enough to be like, okay, I'm going to we're letting go of the past. We're keeping space open so we can see where we're headed. Because right in this moment, it's really just about right in front of you, kind of protecting what is your responsibility. So that adjustment will be there as well, especially from an emotional sense. I think there's going to be a real need to there's going to be a real urge to pull in, I think, and protect ourselves. And in the face of some dark antagonism, I do feel like that this is still ramping up because it is on its way out. And so you might as well, from that perspective, guns ablazing for those whose time is up. And so we are going to be challenged with that today as well. But we will be moving through the rapids, I think. We'll really be moving through the rapids, reaching calm water, and it'll allow us to really be able to see people for who they are instead of projecting our own, hologram onto them, and not um, seeing people as screens for that projection, like looking at people as actual human beings. And that will come when we do that. I feel like that will allow us to individually and emotionally kind of get through the rapids and get to the calm waters, because then when you're not projecting all of these fears and making all of this stuff, building it up in your head and projecting it on other people, when you just see them as people, just like you and I, and, just like yourself, with their own fears and their doubts and their flaws and their imperfections. When you can do that, I think this really allows us to actually pass emotionally into calmer waters, because we're not projecting all of our fear onto these people. Therefore, we don't feel, we're not faced with everything that we're afraid of being projected or being reflected back on us. So um, there is, there is something to be said for really being firm and being very rooted in who we are and allowing something new to come in. This has been the message for a while. And there will be people who, again, will respond in a way that is rash and kind of petulant and kind of acting out because they are not grounded, and they do not feel secure, and they don't feel a sense of responsibility towards anybody else around them either, like not in a real way, not and more in a virtue signaling way, which is not the same as like taking real responsibility. But again, there's so much to look forward to. We just have to go through these moments of challenge in order to learn more about ourselves. So that is the daily for the 5th of January, 2021. If you've liked this information, if you find this helpful, please consider subscribing. Definitely smash that like button. That is awesome. Everything else you need is in the description box below. I will be on Facebook tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, for the daily medicine as per usual. So you can come check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing very well. Reach out if you're interested in reading. Go to the website. Like I said, in the description box, it's all there. I am going to go to bed. I'm tired. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Good night.